Alright, I got this. I'm running on fumes, but he's almost down. There we go, got him. A nice little attack animation to finish him off, and that doesn't look good. He just looks angrier now. And he's got a full health bar. Plus armor. Oh no. It's Rel, and let's dive into Awaken, Astral Blade. Dark Pigeon Games, 2D, Souls-like Metroidvania. Abnormal readings have been detected in the Dark Mist Rainforest, and we, a combat biotic... What are you playing, Mass Effect? A combat bionic, have been sent to help investigate. We start out with a nice little tutorial that teaches us about jumping and rewards us for exploring. Next is taking down our first enemy. I love the animations, both for your attacks and the monsters. The controls feel really awkward to me, so I go and rebind them. It is really smooth and easy to do. Very nice. The tutorials continue by teaching us about combos. Use your attack buttons in specific order and context to get different attacks. While I'm not a big fan of contextual attacks, I prefer each attack bound to a different button. I can appreciate when a system is done well, and Astral Blades feels that way. We get a quick dodge tutorial. One thing about many of the tutorials is that they don't require you to demonstrate the skill. While I like player freedom, I prefer when games make you demonstrate the skill, preferably organically, on the first introduction. If a game has an awesome system, make sure the players understand it. Then let them ignore it afterwards if they still want to. Another minor thing, but visual clarity. How is this not interactable? Am I missing something? The art is clearly setting this apart, but there's nothing to do with it. And then here's me thinking the stage is still loading. But it turns out I was just behind a tree. Feeling a little silly after that. I like this little training area with the combos. Having the buttons on the combo list light up really helped learn them. And this boss was a great place to highly encourage them. The damage is real helpful. I also appreciate that all its attacks felt pretty fair. When I got hit, it was my fault. The monsters we fight are mutants from exposure to radiation of Carpus energy. It matches the art style of the enemy models really well. They really give off the vibe of a mutated plant or animal. The game continues to reward you for exploring, with items, max health boosts, etc. I don't see why some platforms have a quaking animation when you jump on them. They seem to immediately return to the same position, no matter how many times you land. Feels like the animation should be reserved for platforms that will actually lower or fall away when jumped on too much. As we continue, we find a glowing bed of blue leaves. These act as our rest points. The animation for resting is really pretty. They provide useful information about statuses and the ability to upgrade our character. I think it's really cool that the ability upgrades are focused on rewarding precise timing. There are investigation points that give little hints about dangerous enemies ahead. The backgrounds are fantastic for atmosphere building. From the ancient machines to deep, eerie caves. Absolutely gorgeous. My personal favorite was the cave paintings. Both informative and flavorful. And with that, we get our first boss fight. A giant scorpion. Well, it took me a minute to learn them. I always felt like it was my fault when I got hit. And the attacks dealt enough damage that you can't just stat stick your way through. It had a clear weak point, rewarding precise combos and attacks. To top it off, its attack animations were gorgeous and held so much weight. We beat it, and now we have a minute to breathe. What is that in the background? Is it an enormous version held back by chains? Man, I hope that is foreshadowing on the scale of the creatures we fight later. We absorb the energy that was corrupting the scorpion and gain a double jump, allowing for even more exploration, including some backtracking for hidden rewards. I find a jumping puzzle and fail it. Death causes you to respawn near where you died, dropping some of the aether you've gathered. You can recollect some of it by walking near it. We can move the camera a bit away from our character, so we can look before we leap. I've never liked when games force you to make leaps of faith, so I appreciate a way of getting a little bit of information. We have a map that helps track progression on missions. We come across a barrier that requires standing scythe attack to progress. I like that it relates to the weapon. Scythes were originally made for cutting plants, so the barricade requires a scythe. I can't wait to come back here and find out what's behind it. We come to our second boss, and man, I love the abrupt camera movements. Really eye-catching. Another boss that is challenging and heavily rewards you for precise attacks. As you saw at the start, I whittled down the boss's health bar and just barely managed to finish it off with a cool finishing move. However, it's got a second phase, and it wipes the floor with me. We go in again, learn its abilities, and eventually take it down. And look at the little spirit dog we set free. Okay, maybe not little. That's the demo. Very fair and clean mechanics. A little bit of issues with visual clarity, but fantastic art, especially the backgrounds and animations. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night.